Hey guys! Sorry I haven't made like a real formal video in a while. I've been busy with a lot of stuff, but I decided to come back with a bang. One of my favorite directors out there, all time, is good old David Lynch. And I think I like his personality more than his actual movies.
I'm so depressed I don't know what I'm doing. I have not got a clue.
He has a really weird, dry sense of humor, which I appreciate a lot.
What a heavy load Einstein must have had. Fucking morons everywhere.
He's very like a cranky old man, and he's a really good actor as well. Whenever he pops up in movies or TV shows, I'm always happy to see him. I remember he had a great cameo in Louis C.K.'s TV show, Louis.
Yes. No. No.
Now, you know how when you go on IMDb and you look at a director's filmography, you'll see like the big movies like Eraserhead, Wild at Heart, Straight Story, The Elephant Man, but you'll see like tons of random shorts and documentaries and whatnots. Well, that's the case for David Lynch, and I'm on a mission to look at all those weird non-feature-length films that David Lynch made. This is gonna be a multiple-part series of me trying to watch all of the shorts in David Lynch's filmography. But this first part here, I'm gonna be looking at commercials directed by David Lynch. You see, sometimes you can make a crazy movie like Mulholland Drive, but that's not gonna put any bread on the table, okay? That's not gonna put a roof over your head. Sometimes you just gotta sell out. But David Lynch doesn't sell out. He makes commercials under his conditions. So yeah, he's done multiple commercials for different companies. Let's take a look at some of these commercials. So the first one I got here is a series of Calvin Klein commercials that David Lynch made in 1988. They each have a different title based off of famous writers. One is called F. Scott Fitzgerald, another is called Ernest Hemingway. This first one here is F. Scott Fitzgerald. The commercial is called Obsession by Calvin Klein. Let's give it a watch.
He knew that when he kissed this girl, his mind...
Is that Heather Graham?
Again, like the mind
That's Heather Graham in Benicio del Toro. That's
a
amazing.
moment longer to the tuning fork that had been struck upon a star. Then he kissed her. At his lips' touch, she blossomed for him like a flower, and the incarnation was complete. Obsession, Calvin Klein.
A pretty straightforward commercial, which you wouldn't expect by David Lynch. A very elegant commercial, has a bit of a film noir vibe to it. I need to get me some Obsession by Calvin Klein. This commercial is working. I give it 4 David Lynches out of 5. Here's another Calvin Klein commercial.
Her fingers went over the mold of his face, over his features. How perfect and foreign he was. How dangerous. Her soul thrilled with complete knowledge. This was the glistening, forbidden apple. She kissed him, putting her fingers over his face, his eyes, over his ears to his neck. To know him, to gather him in by touch. Obsession for men, Calvin Klein.
Anyway, let's move away from the Calvin Klein commercials. This one is called Fictitious Anacin commercial. It's a fictitious one. It's not a real commercial, but I decided to lump it in here anyway. It's a short film that David Lynch did back in the 60s before his big break with Eraserhead. Welp, that was something. I give it 2.5 David Lynches out of 5. That was a really weird video, and that's gonna be a recurring theme. I peeked at a few videos, and they kind of all feel a bit like, what the fuck? David Lynch, I feel, is a man who's no stranger to illicit substances. This is an Adidas commercial called The Wall. It's getting really graphic. I give this one a 3 David Lynch out of 5. Doesn't really make me want to buy Adidas. Granted, this is the 90s and everything in the 90s is kind of cheesier. The sneaker game has evolved a lot since then. Just a really weird commercial. First of all, the guy had so many cavities. It kind of took me out of it. That's such a nitpick. What the fuck? It really felt like a 90s music video. It kind of felt like a Peter Gabriel music video. Just that kind of cheese factor to it. This one here is a French window company. And what they did is that they had different filmmakers from where they live film a segment of the commercial. So if a filmmaker is from New York, they'll have a filmmaker from New York film New York, the way they see it, in just one shot. It's actually a pretty interesting idea for a commercial. Let's give it a watch.
JCDecaux.
A lot of directors were unfamiliar to me. Surprisingly really tame. I thought like the Hong Kong one was a lot crazier than the Los Angeles one. David Lynch did the Los Angeles one. Cool idea for a commercial. I feel like they kind of wasted the potential of it. Every segment kind of looked the same. I feel like these directors, Francis Ford Coppola, Spike Lee, David Lynch, probably got a fat fucking paycheck just for going outside one day and filming one shot. So I give it 1 David Lynch out of 5. This is a Dior commercial. David Lynch is going full fucking bougie. I love it. This one's a long one too. Marion Cotillard is in this movie.
Someone
or commercial
will be out
rather.
immediately.
Jeez. Dior threw some fucking bucks into this one. So just looking at the look of this commercial, kind of has an Inland Empire kind of feel. Probably shot with that same shitty camcorder, that mini DV camcorder that David Lynch used.
A few moments later.
Wow, I just caught on that the bag is probably a Dior bag. I forgot I was watching a commercial. Alright, so I can expect that to be a very controversial commercial. If I hired an acclaimed director to promote my product, I wouldn't want him to make Inland Empire, because Inland Empire is probably David Lynch's most divisive film. It's a very lo-fi movie, and I think people are quick to mistaken its lo-fi-ness for laziness. There's a lot I don't like about Inland Empire, and it's by no means his best movie, but I like that lo-fi feel. Maybe I'm biased because growing up, the camera I had when I would make my home movies was the same camera, or pretty similar to the camera David Lynch would use. So it's like a camera that's really nostalgic to me. The look of that is like very nostalgic to me. And something about that lo-fi quality makes it so much more dreamlike, so much more tangible. I feel like movies nowadays are so overcorrected with color correction and CG and fucking filters on the face, and it feels really raw. But here's the problem. You see that first 10 frames and you want to click away. You can't make Inland Empire in 2022. Because if you go on Netflix and you click on something that looked like Inland Empire, you're gonna click away as fast as possible. What the fuck is this shit? If I were Dior, I'd be very upset at what the commercial was. Like I said, I just watched Inland Empire, and this felt very derivative of Inland Empire, not just because it was lo-fi, just because of some of the camera tricks that David Lynch used. For example, that slow-mo kiss, where the frame rate is super lowered, that was directly pulled from Inland Empire. I don't know how I feel. I think I'd just give this one like a 1.5 David Lynch out of 5. It doesn't really set out its goal. It doesn't really make me want to buy the purse. The whole thing kind of looks lo-fi, and that's not what you want in a commercial. You want it to look high fidelity because you want the item to be high fidelity. And as a David Lynch fan, I felt like I was just watching like a B-rate Inland Empire. Yeah, it was a long video as well, 15 minutes.
Who gives a fucking shit how long a scene is?
But I like that kind of dreamlike feel of Inland Empire, and it kind of brought me back to it. This is a commercial for pasta, Barilla Pasta. Really clever commercial. I liked it a lot. It was simplistic. It doesn't really feel like David Lynch, but something about it kind of had like a Blue Velvet vibe to it. It's kind of like this really nice, cozy looking environment, but there's something just a little off by it. Like the shot of the people clapping like this. It was a little weird, you know? But I liked it. It was a weird commercial. It was simple, but well executed. 4.5 David Lynches out of 5. This is a cigarette commercial. Back in the days where it was okay to promote cigarettes on TV, this is a David Lynch cigarette commercial. What do I... I can't believe people let David Lynch direct commercials. Probably something to do with stunt publicity, but still, it's like... It's a cigarette commercial, and the first thing you see is, like, a ton of sparks and smoke. And it kind of just looks very hellish. It kind of doesn't make me want to smoke a cigarette. I feel like it kind of gives me, like, a hellish vibe. Like, if I pick up a cigarette, I'll go to hell. Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking there. The comments here is, What the hell? I liked it as a David Lynch thing, but not really as a cigarette commercial. I give it 3 David Lynches out of 5. So this is for a perfume, and the name of the perfume is Opium. This is before people were aware of the opioid epidemic. Back then, opium was something that was like a very desirable flower, I guess. Feels so fucking weird seeing a perfume called Opium. Just gonna take a whiff of the opium. Oh no! Who thought that was a good idea? And they named the perfume Opium. They named the perfume Opium. Made a commercial where it was basically cool. Whatever. 5 David Lynches out of 5. Beautiful commercial. This is a Giorgio Armani commercial from 1992. Started off like the Calvin Klein commercial and just became some weird samba thing. Really nice commercial, I would say. Does the trick. I think I prefer the Calvin Klein ones, but I really like that noir feel. And the more I watch these, the more I wish that David Lynch kind of made a more straightforward noir movie in black and white. Maybe like a Blue Velvet, but in black and white. His black and white movies are just weird, like Eraserhead. I want to see him do like a sexy noir movie. Something like an 8.5. I feel like David Lynch should do that. This is the last one I'm gonna show here. There are plenty other David Lynch commercials, but they all tend to be pretty similar. This one is called Rouge, Louboutin. I don't know what that means. And I'm from Quebec. I should know what a Louboutin means, but I don't know what a Louboutin is. I approve this commercial. I think this is a well done commercial. I know it's really simplistic, but no narration needed. People are gonna watch it and just be really intrigued by the sounds of this commercial. And anything that's very long and thin is associated with femininity. And David Lynch understands that. He contrasts the high heels of a shoe with the tip of the nail polish. I think it was some genius marketing. I really think it was. I think David Lynch knew exactly what he was doing. Okay, last one for real this time. This one is called The Instinct of Life. I don't know what that commercial was for. I'm assuming it was like some kind of perfume or shampoo, but we didn't get a clear glimpse of the bottle. One of the things that these perfume commercials by David Lynch did so well, can't remember which one it was, but one had like the perfume bottle be in color while the whole rest of the commercial was black and white. There was no emphasis on the product. I have no clue what they were supposed to sell here. I give it a 2.5 David Lynches out of 5. Yeah, lots of David Lynch commercials out there. I like them as a David Lynch fan, but I feel like if I was promoting something, if I was trying to sell, let's say, Ricky's hot sauce, I wouldn't want David Lynch making my Ricky's hot sauce commercial because it's gonna be some weird experimental thing, and no one's gonna understand that it's a Ricky's hot sauce commercial. I feel like that's the overarching theme of all of these ads. Not really a lot of emphasis on the product itself, but more on the David Lynchness. Especially that handbag commercial, that purse commercial. I would have no clue that was a purse commercial. I would have thought it was a carpet commercial or I don't know, anything. I would have thought it was a sequel to Inland Empire, but a whole lot of fun to do nonetheless.